What's up, everybody? Jordan McAbee here, lead NASCAR analyst for RotoBaller. And after Denny Hamlin got his third win of the season last week at Dover, we're on to the 12th race of the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series season and the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas Speedway. Kansas is a low-wear 1.5-mile racetrack similar to Las Vegas and Texas that we have ran at earlier this season. Very close to Las Vegas as far as comparison-wise. These two tracks are considered sister tracks. And you can also throw in Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is another low-wear 1.5-mile track. So typically when it comes to what we look for at Kansas, we're obviously looking at Kansas history. We have 4 solid races here in the next-gen era to look at. And then we're bringing in Las Vegas, Charlotte, and a little bit of Texas to see who's really going to be fast this weekend at Kansas. Now, Kansas has been a 2311 racing racetrack since the next-gen car debuted. The number 45 Toyota in that camp has won 3 of the 4 Kansas races in this next-gen era. Kurt Busch won in May 2022. Bubba Wallace jumped into that 45 car and won in September of 2022. Tyler Reddick won last fall, September of 2023. The only exception was Denny Hamlin winning here last May of 2023. But another Toyota. So Toyota is undefeated in the next-gen era at Kansas Speedway. We'll see if they can get it done this weekend. As always, it has been a Hendrick and Joe Gibbs Racing season so far, and there's no reason to think why that won't continue. Looking at the favorites this weekend, Kyle Larson is the favorite heading into this AdventHealth 400 at Kansas. Best average running position in the next gen on low-wear 1.5-mile tracks. He dominated the Las Vegas race earlier this year. Like I said, that is the history track or the sister track of Kansas. He's finished top 4 in 4 of the last 5 races here at Kansas, and he did win here back in 2021. He's at 4-1 odds, the favorite by most sportsbooks this weekend heading into the race weekend. Denny Hamlin sitting at 5-1. He has 5 straight top 5s at Kansas. He's finished first or second in the last 3 races here, and he leads all active drivers with 4 race wins at Kansas. Denny Hamlin should definitely be a factor and could potentially get his 4th win of the season this weekend in that AdventHealth 400. Tyler Reddick sitting at 7-1 this weekend. If there's a favorite outright that I like right now, it is Tyler Reddick at those odds. I'm not betting Larson at 4-1. I'm not betting Hamlin at 5-1. But if I had to bet a favorite right now heading into this race weekend, give me Tyler Reddick at 7-1. He's arguably the fastest car. He was arguably the fastest car at Las Vegas earlier this year at the end of the race. If he would have had a few more laps, he probably would have been able to get past Larson and get the win there. He is the most recent race winner here at Kansas, and he has the 4th best average running position at Las Vegas and Kansas combined since the start of 2023. So expect Tyler Reddick to be very fast this weekend. And like I said, Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick Motorsports are definitely the 2 favorite organizations heading into this race. We got Martin Truex Jr. sitting at plus 850, William Byron at 9-1, Chase Elliott 12-1, as is Christopher Bell, also at 12-1. Ty Gibbs sitting at 16-1. You can get Alex Bowman at 22-1 just to wrap up those Hendrick and Joe Gibbs Racing cars. Truex has the 3rd best average running position at Kansas and Las Vegas since the start of 2023. Byron already has 3 wins this season. He was 3rd here at Kansas last spring. Both those guys could definitely be factors as well. So definitely look at Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick Motorsports to get the win this weekend. But there are a few long shots that we could see, potentially spoil the party here, including Ryan Blaney sitting at 25-1. Now, Ford has fallen off. Ford is not that good, but if there's anybody in the Ford camp that is good, it's Ryan Blaney. He's really the only respectable driver driving a Ford right now. You could maybe throw in Noah Gragson, but that's a super long shot this weekend. Gragson was 6th at Las Vegas. Blaney, on the other hand, 3rd at Las Vegas earlier this year. 25-1 is just super long odds to see him at a low-wear 1.5-mile track. If that team can get track position late in the race, he could definitely win it. DraftKings opened him up at 22-1. They must have got hammered because he's down to 13-1 over there, but he's still 25-1 on Superbook, 22-1 on FanDuel as of now, recording this on Friday. He has a weird finishing record at Kansas. Blaney does 0 top 5s since the 2017 season, but he's finished top 5 in 15 of the last 28 stages, which tells you he runs really well here, but for whatever reason, he just doesn't get the finishes. 5th best average running position at Las Vegas and Kansas over the last 2 years. Ryan Blaney, a decent long shot to take a look at this weekend. Maybe not as an outright winner bet, but maybe in those top 3, top 5, top 10 markets if you can find some value there. His teammate Joey Logano is another one that really pops out on the betting boards this week. He's at 60-1 over on Superbook. I know he's not that good. He's probably not going to win this race, but it's just crazy to see Joey Logano sitting at 60-1 to win a low-wear mile-and-a-half track at a low-wear mile-and-a-half track. 5th and 6th over the last 2 Kansas races. Now, I will note he did not run as well as 5th and 6th, but he did get the finishes. And that shows you what can happen at these low-wear mile-and-a-half tracks when you get track position late. You can get the good finishes. You can potentially get a win. That's why I'm saying we could see a spoiler when it comes to getting the win this weekend on Sunday. 9th at Vegas for Joey Logano, 11th at Texas this year. Again, 60-1 is just super long, potentially, worth a little sprinkle there on the bet. And another long shot that I'm looking at and potentially betting is Kyle Busch at 40-1. He rebounded last week at Dover with a top 5 finish, showed a ton of speed at Las Vegas earlier this year. He was 9th at Texas. 40-1 is just too long for a guy like Kyle Busch. I understand Richard Childress Racing is struggling, but they're not super slow, especially Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is not super slow. 8th best average running position at Las Vegas and Kansas over the last 2 years. He was 7th here at Kansas last fall. Again, one of those positions where if he can get track position late, he could potentially steal a win this weekend. But now moving on a little bit from these outright bets, some of the favorites this weekend, these low-wear mile-and-a-half tracks are where we can really take advantage and take a longer shot with some of these top 10 odds on the betting boards. And if you followed me and if you followed my bets over the last year and a half, you know that the top 10 bets are kind of my bread and butter right now. So track position in the end, these guys can really get up there and potentially, have some big payoffs. 2 guys that I'm looking at this weekend heading into practice and qualifying. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at 9-1. That's available over on Caesars. He's finished 12th and 8th in the last 2 spring races here at Kansas. He was 7th at Charlotte last year, and he had a ton of speed at Texas this year. Stenhouse 9-1. I love that bet. Already in on it, locked it in. Another top 10 bet that I locked in earlier this week, if you paid attention to my betting article that went up over on RotoBaller, Austin Dillon plus 925 for a top 10 finish. Stenhouse and Austin Dillon are the 2 typical guys that I like to target, the long shot top 10 odds guys that I like to target at these low-wear mile-and-a-half tracks because they do get good finishes here. Austin Dillon, 8th at Texas this year, 16th at Las Vegas this year. Now that 16th isn't super promising, but you have to consider the fact that his average finish for the season is 25.4. So this number 3 car is a little bit better on these low-wear mile-and-a-half tracks. Last season, he had top 10s at both Charlotte and Kansas. And here at Kansas specifically, Austin Dillon, 14th or better in 6th of his last 7 starts. So I love that top 10 odds, plus 925. I think it's came down a little bit. I think you can still get it in the 7 to 8 range, which I still like. It's still a good long shot bet along there with Stenhouse for the top 10s. Gives you something to root for this weekend if you're not betting the outrights. But enjoy the race this weekend at Kansas Speedway, the AdventHealth 400, before we head on to Darlington next weekend. As always, make sure you check out my premium content over on RotoBaller. Use code Jordan24 if you are not a subscriber yet. Get a little discount there and get in on the winning with RotoBaller and NASCAR.